Somaliland's sovereignty has been a fact under international law, but outdated political calculations and Somalia's fabricated claims kept many countries from recognizing it outright. Now that is changing fast, and international politics are leading the way in aligning with the simple reality. Republic of Somaliland is a de jure state, and it is here to stay. The 2025 World Government Summit in Dubai was not just another diplomatic gathering. It was a statement, a shift, a clear sign that Somaliland is no longer being sidelined. This wasn't about just attending an event. It was about how Somaliland's president was addressed, where he was seated, who he was seen with, and what discussions took place. This summit marked a major geopolitical shift and proving that international powers are now treating it as a sovereign player. President of the Republic of Somaliland, a title that changes everything. For years, world leaders have tiptoed around Somaliland's status, calling its president vague names like Somaliland leader or regional authority. But at this summit, that changed. Political significance. The official title, President of the Republic of Somaliland, was used, not some watered-down version designed to appease Somalia. Somaliland was introduced as a republic on the global stage. At a summit attended by 30 heads of state, 400 ministers, and some of the most powerful political and business leaders in the world, Republic of Somaliland was officially introduced as the de jure sovereign state that it is. Somaliland's President Abdirahman Abdullah Iro took center stage, delivering a speech in which he spoke about Somaliland's history and independence on June 26, 1960, as well as speaking about its sovereignty, history, and future. On different days of the summit, President Iro's seating was positioned alongside other heads of state, a clear diplomatic signal that Somaliland is being treated as the sovereign country that it is. With millions of viewers worldwide, this was one of the most significant moments in Somaliland's modern diplomatic history. Somaliland was not just acknowledged, it was recognized in front of the entire world. The UAE and summit organizers did not acknowledge failed Somalia's claim over Somaliland. This signals a diplomatic shift. Somaliland is being treated as an independent state, not a breakaway region. Legal significance. This sets a precedent. By using Somaliland's proper title, world leaders are normalizing its sovereign status. It strengthens Somaliland's legal case for its state continuity under international law. Geopolitical significance. The African Union, AU, the UN, and IGAD are now under pressure to justify why they continue to deny Republic of Somaliland its de jure state when major global players are taking a shift. Seating arrangements. Front row with power players. Diplomatic seating is never random, it reflects status. And Somaliland's president was not seated with regional or provincial leaders. He was placed next to some of the most powerful figures in the UAE, including Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, MBR, and Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, MBR, Vice President, Prime Minister, and ruler of Dubai. Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Vice President, Deputy Prime Minister, and Chairman of the Presidential Court. The most powerful and influential men after the President of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. In diplomacy, seating arrangements reflect political recognition, influence, and status. Seating the Somaliland president at the front row, alongside UAE's top leadership, elevates Somaliland's international standing. This is a clear message that the UAE views Republic of Somaliland as a state actor rather than just a regional entity. Being next to the UAE's leadership and the world leaders rather than in a secondary row solidifies that Republic Somaliland is being acknowledged as a legitimate country, not the false narrative pushed by failed Somalia as separatist region. Legal significance. Alongside the de jure 26 June 1960 independence date. The international law also recognizes state practice. If a leader is consistently treated like a head of state, it reinforces their country's sovereign status. The UAE is sending a message that Republic of Somaliland is a key regional player. It also forces other countries to reconsider their stance. If the UAE deals with Somaliland as a state, why shouldn't they? Global media coverage. Somaliland takes center stage. When Somaliland's president stepped onto the global stage in Dubai, the media took notice. Coverage from major news outlets elevated Somaliland from a regional issue to a major international topic. This creates pressure on international institutions like the UN and AU to engage with Somaliland, since they can no longer afford to ignore the reality on the ground. Media attention normalizes Somaliland's de jure sovereignty, making it harder for other nations to ignore its legal arguments by giving the Republic such high visibility. A huge diplomatic win for Republic of Somaliland, and a major setback for Somalia, which relies on keeping Somaliland out of the global conversation. It also strengthens Ethiopia's case for finalizing its MOU with Somaliland, because the world is already treating Somaliland as a legitimate international partner. UAE's special treatment, escorting Somaliland's president to Dubai port. This wasn't just a casual visit. The UAE personally escorted Somaliland's president to Dubai's port, a level of diplomatic hospitality reserved for strategic allies. The Republic of Somaliland serves as a vital maritime partner due to its strategic location, connecting 3 continents through its maritime routes at the Berbera port. The UAE's heavy investment in Berbera port is a direct competition to Djibouti's monopoly in the region. It also strengthens Somaliland's role in Red Sea security, which is becoming a global strategic priority. Ethiopia-Somaliland MOU, a game changer. The Ethiopia-Somaliland MOU was openly discussed at the World Government Summit, meaning it's not being treated as a side topic but as a major regional development. This is proof that Somaliland is negotiating international agreements independently, something a region wouldn't be able to do. If Somaliland were just a region, the MOU would be illegal. The fact that Ethiopia and other international partners are moving forward with it strengthens Somaliland's legal claim as a state. The UAE, Ethiopia, and Somaliland are now forming a strategic alliance in the Horn of Africa, which strengthens each country's economy and their national interests. This further forces the AU and the UN, the Arab League, to take or reconsider their position. Somaliland's president, speaking on a global panel. Somaliland's president wasn't just a guest, he was a speaker at a high-level panel. President Iro was not there as an observer, but as an active participant. Officially treating him as a panelist means Somaliland is included in global discussions and acknowledged as its de jure sovereign state. This is another step toward full normalization of Somaliland's statehood, and increases international exposure and support for Somaliland's re-recognition efforts. A U.S. military base in Somaliland, with Russia expanding in Sudan and China's military base in Djibouti, the U.S. is looking for new strategic locations in the Red Sea. Berbera is the perfect option. Djibouti is compromised. It hosts China's largest overseas military base. Somalia is unreliable. It's a failed entity, and the U.S. cannot depend on Mogadishu for security. Russia is expanding. The U.S. base in Berbera would counterbalance Russia's naval presence in Sudan. Berbera is strategically located. It gives the U.S. direct access to Red Sea shipping lanes. If the U.S. moves forward with this, Somaliland's re-recognition is no longer a question of if, but when. Republicans in Congress already support the re-recognition. In 2023 and 2024, multiple Republican lawmakers pushed for Republic of Somaliland to be recognized as a U.S. ally and as an independent state that it is. Now that Trump won in November 2024, this could turn into formal policy. America First agenda aligns with Somaliland. Trump's foreign policy is realistic and transactional. He focuses on strategic partnerships that benefit the U.S. Somaliland offers geopolitical access, a stable government, and a military foothold in the Horn of Africa, all on its own with minimal foreign interference and aid. U.S. frustration with failed Somalia. The U.S. has poured billions into that failed entity for 30-plus years, and it's still a failed state dependent on ATMIS and foreign aid. With the recent U.S. aid cuts, Washington is signaling that it's done wasting money on a government that doesn't function. The UAE and Ethiopia have set the stage, but the real shift will come when the U.S. moves to re-recognize Somaliland, forcing the rest of the world to follow. Why this is happening now? 1. The UN is irrelevant to U.S. interests. Washington has openly criticized the UN as corrupt and ineffective, especially as it continues to undermine American foreign policy while taking billions in U.S. funding. The U.S. is now bypassing the UN when necessary. 2. The U.S. needs to secure the Red Sea fast. China and Russia have positioned themselves in the region. China controls Djibouti. The U.S. has its base there, but Djibouti is now heavily reliant on Chinese debt. Russia is expanding in Sudan and the Central African Republic, looking to control more ports and military zones. The U.S. cannot afford to lose ground. Somaliland is the last real opportunity for Washington to maintain dominance over the Red Sea. 3. Recognition of Somaliland forces allies to follow. India and EU are already watching this closely,